Hi, I'm Donnie Vie, and this is Talking About Rock.
Okay, today's guest is a singer and songwriter, best known as the main songwriter and lead vocalist of the band Enuff Z'Nuff. In 2003, he started his solo career, releasing the album Just Enough. And in May 2013, he left Enuff Z'Nuff to pursue his solo career. Here to chat with us about his latest release, Plain Jane, let's welcome Donnie Vie. Donnie, man. How goes it, man?
Oh, it's doing good. Things are good.
Things are all right. Cool.
Yeah.
You said it's pretty chilly there where you are. We're trying to get through the rest of these winter temperatures, man.
Yeah, it's definitely cold.
Definitely. So I wanted to wish you kind of a belated congratulations on the induction there to the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum Hall of Fame there. That had to be pretty cool and feel very special for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, considering I hadn't been doing anything for quite a while, and it's just all of a sudden that came up, and so that was very cool. We had a little chance to play a couple songs for the fans again one more time, and it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of folks that have been inducted there looking through their records, Chuck Berry, Styx, REO Speedwagon, Cheap Trick. So they definitely got some great other folks in there as well.
Well, I didn't know if it was anything worth a damn because they were inducting us. So I figured, this got to just be, no. I looked into it, I go, oh, this is a real thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you guys definitely made a mark with your songs and the songwriting that you've done, for sure. But we want to talk about your latest track here a little bit, Plain Jane. Very cool 70s vibe to it, definitely. Can you give us a little background on that song at all?
That song came to me while we were actually recording the record, the Beautiful Things record. We were probably 2/3 into it, and I always leave room when we're making a record. I'll always leave room for 2 or 3 songs at least that'll get written during the session. When you're in a zone, I get in a zone. I'm just walking around with a guitar on all the time while they're doing things and mixing things and getting things together, and I'm just because I ADHD. So I walking around, you come up with little things, and that song just the riff came to me, and I just could hear the whole song, pretty clearly. Within 10 minutes, it was written. And as far as what it's about, I figured, well, how many songs are out there that every single artist writes about the hot chick, the smoking hot dime piece, So, and what about the girls the girls next door, that aren't they don't come in a bottle, and they're not skin deep, and so I figured, well, now they got a song. I couldn't think of too many of them, at least not cool ones, cool rock songs. So now Plain Jane's, you guys got your own cool song.
That's a very good point. Yeah, very, very cool. So I was looking through your catalog and some of your other songs. Obviously, Beatles seem to be very inspirational to you. Were they the catalyst for you to start in music?
Definitely. Yeah, that was, I was just a little kid, it was kind of a troubled existence. And I just kind of, luckily, I was at my grandparents', and there's a little toy record player. It was called a Close and Play. I guess they had gotten me for Christmas the year before, but I still was too young to comprehend what it is or anything, and then just through time, I found a couple of records. My uncles had some records that were in the closet, and I stuck one on there, and it worked, and nobody even showed me how to use it, and all of a sudden the Beatles, it was Ticket to Ride, Beatles, and so I had Ticket to Ride going through my brain for that and this Jack and the Beanstalk song. There was 2 records in there. One was Jack and the Beanstalk. So I was a little kid, so I knew that song. And so I was kind of going, I was conflicted, what direction I was going to go, because I was torn. I was probably like 5 or 4.
Right.
And so, well, Jack and the Beanstalk didn't have any more records, so the Beatles had all kinds of more songs to listen to. So I went that way, and I just listened to it, and they were my friends. They were. I go into my bed. Eventually got some headphones or whatever. But until then, man, I would just shut the doors and sit in there and play those songs. And I'd be standing there. I'm a Beatle, I'm playing along with them. I'm jamming with the Beatles, and eventually you start rocking out in the mirror to the Beatle records, and so. But what I didn't know till later was I was getting like a total education, a subconscious education in songwriting, in singing, in background harmonies and vocals, and just the way to construct and arrange songs, and how they would add how George Martin would add all of the strings and stuff, or horns and things like that to their music, and all of that was basically just getting instilled into me, so that when I started, then I started. I ran across the Jackson 5 record, because I had a whole album, and the thing would play a record, but you had to smash the thing back, the lid on it, to get the whole record where it would spin the big record, and I started listening to Jackson 5 and the Beatles, and as I got a little bit older, that's all I asked for. I didn't have any records anymore. Back at home at my house, I just had my little tape recorder, one of those little where you press the two buttons and it records, or you just press the one it plays.
Yep.
In my little thing, and so I would record my friends' records or my uncle's records. My uncle would go to his house on Christmas. I record all the Beatle records on cassette tapes. But then I still only had batteries, so half the songs I learned like right. They were all like Strawberry Fields, like all slowed down. I still hear them that way in my head, or where my buddy's record would skip, and on the tape, and where the song skips, I still want to hear that. I hear the skip in my head, but yeah, I was just getting that Motown stuff started coming in with the Beatles, and then I hit teenager, started then came like. Aerosmith, Judas Priest, things like that, Rush, things like that started. But that wasn't really necessarily my bag, but because I just was stuck in this melodic thing, this that British pop thing, very melodic, and the Motown stuff's very melodic too. So it's kind of like, if you like melody, you'll like what I do. If you don't, then don't listen to me.
Yeah, I mean, it still amazes me to this day how many people quote the Beatles for their inspiration. Obviously, the most famous songwriting team ever, and it's just amazing how all these songs have just lived on for so long. But I don't think they couldn't have realized at all what was going to come after them. How many people they were going to inspire, right?
That was God. That wasn't even those four guys. That was God orchestrated that. The angels put that together, and that was God rocking out to the world, giving us this, he just selected those guys. They didn't even know that was happening to them until afterwards, I'm sure Paul's still looking back, whoa, what a fucking ride I'm Paul McCartney. He looks in the mirror, and after the Beatles were over, and he kind of, even Paul, and John, they had their great solo songs, because they had great solo songs within the Beatles, but they didn't have each other. They weren't working off each other anymore, and John basically was doing his own thing. He just had Yoko to work off of, so it was basically pure John. And Paul at least had Denny Lane, with Wings, and they put together a pretty good partnership as far as writing goes, because Paul needed somebody to say, no, that sucks. You got to do, let's go here, or this and that. And so, they need, you need it. Someone like that, but I haven't necessarily always had that, though. But that's why it's such a good thing that I grew up listening to the whole Beatles. So I got the whole Beatles in me, not just one guy. So in writing a song, it's the songs are sort of I can already hear them already when I get the ideas. I can hear the song already, So it's like something's giving me the songs.
Yeah, you're just coming right through for you. And like you were saying, they had a string of hits, obviously separately, all the stuff that McCartney had, Jet, Band on the Run,
Yeah, but it petered out. I mean, you got, I don't know how old was Paul when his records, I mean, I'm not, no disrespect or anything, but whereas, I mean, I'm a huge Beatle fan, and I really, the records just don't grip me anymore, his later solo stuff, and, but, I don't listen to any music anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the thing I think that amazes me about him still is he's still doing it at his age. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's unbelievable. But that's back to my point. It's like he's like still looking back like, wow, I was a fucking Beatle, and look at that how still he's royalty, and for till 80 something years old, he'll keep going until he's done. And he's still in pretty good shape, and probably the most appropriate guy if it had to pick one guy to continue on, I would say he would made the most of it. He was the most get to down do business type guy. He continued on and wants to play and all this stuff. Most guys, John would have been burnt out. He was already burnt out and over it, and just staying back for a record or two. Who even knows what would have happened there? But you can get real lazy. If I had all that money, I'd probably be done.
Right.
Probably been done a long time ago.
Yeah, see, I had Enuff Z'Nuff, band on the run, band out of here, right? For sure.
I still got to work to eat.
Well, you did some amazing stuff. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about your history. So, the Enuff Z'Nuff debut album sold approximately 300,000 copies worldwide in '91, and it's often considered the high-powered pop metal release of that era.
Now, since then, it's sold quite a few more. We just got those records back last year. It took 2023. The first one reverted back to us, and so we waited an extra year to get them both back. But that still took some work to get those. People don't just want to hear, "Here's your stuff back," or here's your royalties. You got to go get your things, and so that's it took some work, but we finally got that handled, and now this for the first time if Fly on Michelle or New Thing or something off those records gets played or used in, like New Thing got used in a TV show, and now I'll get the money for it, instead of God knows who, some billionaire, get my measly,
Yeah, and you guys
but at
did a
least I get
performance.
paid for it again. Huh?
Yeah, and you guys did a little performance, like we were saying at that rock and roll induction at the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Do you still speak to Chip at all? Do you guys talk at all, or?
If he needs me for something, we talk. Come on, get down off of there. It's in my office. Cats are in my office. Yeah, usually, because he's pretty much wants to just do his own thing. He's not interested in anything. I'm not interested in doing what he's doing at all.
Right.
And he's really not in. We're not in the same headspace for me to do what I do. I'm into creating and to continue to evolve and things like that. I don't know where, artistically, I'm a lot more intellect or whatever. I don't know what you would even say, but he just wants to continue to go out, and he's happy with those songs, and he'll go play them, on those tours, I can't. He's twice the man I am when it comes to that stuff. I'll play shows and things, but I can't go on a Faster Pussycat tour for 2 weeks, or in a bus with some other guys and another band. More than that's really road dogging, and I don't have that left in me. I did that for a lot of years, almost killed me.
So no chance on any future collaborations between you guys
with him.
Yeah.
Writing wise, there really is no point in it, I mean, unless there was some reason, there was an incentive to do something, but I mean, as far as creative wise, he and I really hadn't done a lot of collaborating much through, since in the very beginning, the very early days before the first record and everything, we did a lot because I was brand new. I was just starting to write, just starting to sing and play guitar and stuff, I mean, I was really young, and it took a while for me to, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
When I started writing, though, I'm just like, I do everything to excess. And so when writing came, man, they were coming out like 3 or 4 or 5 a day, I'd just sit there, and he was kind of the catalyst to pull them out of me. And then he would have an idea here and there, and it's just his little idea that would just open another door and go down those, it's like, and that's all really collaborating usually is, I mean, as far as I know, that's the closest thing to collaborating that I've done is somebody has an idea, and I'll take it from there, my first solo record, I worked with a guy that he kind of he worked me hard, which especially lyrically, I came a long way. This guy's named Andrew Rollins, and he just called me the other day. I guess he had a bunch of. In any case, he pulled. It's like working with guys like that puts you to the challenge. That somebody that'll pull. See, that never happened in Enuff Z'Nuff. Once after the first record, I was kind of like I'm growing and wanting to go all these directions and stuff, and kind of the guitar player Derek was kind of limiting. Where I could go with things. I had to. There's always got to bring this in there. Okay, here's, and it started to be like the Antichrist after a while. but that's that sound. The big guitars, the heavy grinding guitars and stuff, kind of got redundant to me. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up listening to those kind of guitars. I listened to, that's. I think it's a. Well, for me, for me personally, I think it's an easy. I don't know what the word is right now because I've smoked a joint and I can't think right now. But it's a bad substitute for other orchestrations and stuff. You just put that in there. Instead, you can have all these other cool things that are make other colors and flavors to the music. And if a song calls for that, then I'll put it in there. If the song is like, because I have newer ones now that have a heavier edge to them. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out. I think I'm just going to let the songs tell me who I want to be.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot of musicians say. That kind of like play to the song when you're writing it or when you're getting in the groove for that. That's kind of what it is about.
Let the song tell me who it wants to be. Always, it's you'll try different things and some writers don't, if they don't know that one point that you get to where things just all of a sudden lock in and click and the thing starts playing itself. All of a sudden it's these individual parts that you're working on. This one thing will tie them together and it'll be magic. And
right.
All of a sudden there's this new thing that exists. And a lot of guys don't necessarily get to that point because they think that this was good enough or this is just for not having someone to pull that out of them. You a lot of, I have songs that, there's quite a few Enuff Z'Nuff songs that I think that should have been evolved more. They should have been, produced more, but they weren't. And that's just the situation and time. It is what it was, and it is what it is.
Right, right.
But
the thing I like to always ask artists, on those early songs that they were writing, and they really broke through with those songs. Did you think any of those were earmarked like they were gonna break through? They're gonna be a hit. When you're putting it together, you said, "Oh, this is our great work. We did a great job. We think this really could be something."
We thought everything we wrote were smash hits. We called wrote another hit today. That's everything we wrote. We thought were smash hits. And in a perfect world, if you like anything we did, you'll like everything we did because the writing there's no filler. I don't consider there filler. I do consider there is filler, but to a certain standard there isn't. In my book. There's half filler, but it really isn't. They're all good songs. They're all got the same melody. They all got a good, strong hook, they all got a cool guitar riff in them or whatever it is, and but after you've done 16 to 20, 30 songs like that, you want to go out like the Strength record. I want to experiment and do some strings. I hear these things in my head, but unless I have a producer, somebody to work with, I'm not able to. I'm just trying to figure them out on my own, thinking around on a keyboard, and people that don't understand it are like, "Oh, come on, man, it's a guitar band." Come on, And so you kind of get, creatively, you kind of get cock blocked a little bit, But this is. I'm not bad rapping. I'm just saying that this is just artistically, that's. I really liked. I'm still looking for that artist to write with, and to one day. I think I've achieved the goal of writing that unbelievable, unquestionable masterpiece that the world can't help but embrace. I still don't feel like I've gotten that song yet, and I keep trying to. So that's why That's why I don't let my songwriting go slip. 'Cause if it does start slipping, then I'm done. I won't keep doing it then.
Yeah, I think I discussed this with other songwriters too. I think that's kind of something that's missing today. I know you said you don't listen to a lot of new music, but it just seems like songwriting is not something that's really concentrated on as much as it has been in the past. It was really front and center in the early days of rock. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's lacking in a lot of music nowadays.
Well, things went off, and everything's supposed to evolve. And see, that stopped happening once we lost like real radio DJs that played whatever they wanted to play. They played. That's the DJ you followed or you liked him because you liked what he played. He wasn't playing the same. There wasn't the programmed. That goes across the board. All the big stations. You got to play these songs. They didn't do that shit, and that later became that used to be illegal. That would have been payola, what I mean?
Right.
You pay the company paying you here, you play these songs, but then that turned to nothing but that. DJs, you'd have to have just little local stations, guys playing different stuff or stuff that isn't. So you don't get, because a kid would listen to the radio and he listened to what he loved and he followed, and he got turned on to, and now he becomes a musician and an artist, and he takes it from there, and his influences and evolves, and adds his own thing, those influences through him, and then this is the original music, that it's evolving through different artists, and then the next generation. But then once the radio stopped doing that, now there's a zillion different things, to look at. I wouldn't even, it just gives me anxiety to try to figure out where to go to look for, if you put all those artists like in thumbnails, like my record, if they're all just little pictures and thumbnails and you looked at that, just be, oh my goodness, you got to try to find me in there. Try to find me in there. It's in there.
Right.
Find me in there. It's got to wear something really bright.
Right, but I know what you're saying. That is the way it is with traditional radio now. But that's why I'm so glad we have internet radio, such as Rock Rage Radio. We play everything. We'll play the new music and the new bands, and give the new bands a shake on that as well. You don't get that from any of the traditional radio. You know what I mean?
You got to go. Yeah, no, you don't anymore. And it's like you guys, Little Steven's show. He's got good radio. That's like a real radio station. And their label, they operate like the old days. Wicked Cool Records.
Right.
There's a label that just signed me.
Right. I just saw that. Yeah, that's been excellent working with them. Yeah, tell us about that.
They operate like the old-fashioned record labels. They push their artists, they promote them. They they got their shows, their radio shows, and they got other stations and stuff, and they get you played, and they play your stuff, and you got all these different bands on that roster. It's a great roster of artists and stuff that I haven't even begun to dig through there and try to find some guys to work with or play with, and get out and do some shows with. So I'm hoping some of them like me.
Yeah, it would definitely be very interesting. So what is next plans for you? What is next steps?
Well, they're going to put another single out next month. That'll be the title track from the record, Beautiful Things. Well, you can get the Plain Jane the record, though, that single that you're showing right there, this thing. It's on 45. It's like on vinyl. They what label's releasing vinyl singles going to release a single?
You are the first time I've heard that, and exactly. I can't know how long.
Yeah, they put out singles, and they're going to put another single, and then the record. That's called a setup. That's setting up the record. That's what they used to do. Now it's just like the label is a guy on the phone. You know what I mean? He's a guy on his phone stuff. So they get, this is I'm getting people contacting me from. They've been playing it for like about almost 3 weeks or so now on the radio. Just started in February. I'm hearing from all kinds of people. Hey man, heard your song on the radio, or hey man, I saw your interview, and and you get, it's since Enuff Z'Nuff's last major label has anything ever operated that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's on a much lower scale. You know what I mean? That was on a grander scale. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars behind it. But that was all wasting millions of dollars as well. You know what I mean? Just ridiculous. That's why it took me till 23 to get my record paid off and get out of there and finally have my stuff back. So that now I own all my songs now. 100% own all of my songs, and so Now I just got to find something to do with them, you know.
Yeah, that's
But
outstanding. Well, like you're saying, I totally agree. So many of these companies, that people get signed to nowadays. There's no promotion. There's no help with that, and that's you're not helping the artist at all succeed, right?
well, I've kind of even gotten the impression that there's even in the back of their minds they're already thinking about the next record. So that's a wonderful thing, to get embraced by something like that. And I try not to bother them very often because I can be a handful. So I just I have a team that helps work with them. I don't want to aggravate anybody over there, but they seem to like me. They told me they like me a lot, and that's a great feeling. I haven't been on a label really for so long. Close to. I don't even consider most of the things that I put in my records out really weren't labels. That was just like somebody gave me a few bucks to make a record and put it out there, and they sort of they reflect that too, But that last record I made, Beautiful Things, that was the first time I actually got to really achieve my vision, that I had musically. That's who I am right there. That record right there just shows exactly who I am, and there's no explanations come with it or anything. It's just perfect from the beginning to the end of my stuff. You know what I mean? It's not. I didn't say it's a perfect record, but for me, it is.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I've made a lot of records. I've made over 25 records, and then there's all these other little. I don't know if you can see that thing though. That's circling around me. There's probably like 50 to 75 different things that have been released on a CD that I've written or contributed to or co-written. So that's a lot of stuff to finally, at this point, finally do something where I said that, because that's all I hear when I listen to my older stuff. All I hear is what I should have. Oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. Why did I do that? Why did I say that lyric? Oh my God, that lyric's retarded. Like new thing. The new thing lyrics are just the worst. I was so bad with lyrics in the very beginning, and I wrote them because his chips were way worse, And so you got to have something to sing, but I could hear the vowels and the syllables. I got all of that right. But
Yeah, I think it's such a catchy tune that just gets in your head, right? It's the kind of song that just gets in your head,
and
then it just has that little hook just to keep bringing you back each time,
Yeah, it was. I kind of wrote it with a kind of a punk rock feel in my mind. Of course, when you got Derek and Vic in the band, everything, the musical, I don't know our style really went from power pop to pop metal, and metal is something that's never ever I've never been metal, and it took a long time to kind of push that. I love heavy metal when it's done right. I'm not a heavy metal songwriter. You know what I mean? I'm a pop songwriter, and I like it aggressive. So power pop songwriter, but I like the softer stuff too, But so that's why I need to do my own thing where I'm not, I'm not changing for the times and the genres and stuff like the new age like this. I've been around for four different generations now of music, and I just continue to do me, and so a lot of guys went from LA to Nashville and cut their hair off and wore cowboy hats, and they started doing that, and then that all moved to Vegas, and guys are trying to do that now, they're going hip hop and stuff like that, and I don't know. I guess you can put your nose to the grindstone, and all you do is grind off your nose. If you're not doing, I mean, it's like if you're not. I mean, I would, if I was going to work that hard, I would just put a tribute band. I'd get in a Kiss tribute band. Then you make
or
money.
Beatles, maybe a Beatles tribute band.
Beatles tribute band. If I did a Beatles tribute band, it would have to be with all name guys. All right. great guys who are names. They're out there that would play the Beatles songs the best. I would do that. I would totally fucking do that if I had, three other guys. Plus, you need some keyboards and stuff to fill out all that and make it really kick ass. But not play it like the Beatles did. Just do cool fucking, power pop versions of the Beatles songs, you know, but with keeping the integrity. But I don't know why I'm talking about that right now, because that's not going to happen.
Well, that would be very, very fun.
Hey, I'm putting it out there though, but it'd have to be great guys and to do it. You know, we'd have to have all the vocals and everything. Yeah, oh, that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be very cool. Yeah. Definitely. All right, so the new track, Plain Jane, like Donnie was saying, is out now. You can stream that. All right.
You can buy it. You can get the record at DonnieVie.com. You get the 45 at DonnieVie.com.
Get the 45, right? Because who's selling 45s?
Nobody.
Anymore?
It's me. I am. I got my flash drive too. That's also a meet and greet pass, and it's got all my solo stuff on it. For now, the only place you can currently get any of my other solo records is on that flash drive at DonnieVie.com or eBay for $200. You know, but hopefully I'll get those records all over to Wicked Cool as well.
Yeah, we definitely hope for that. So check out DonnieVie.com for all that stuff. All right, so that wraps up this episode. Thank you to my guest, Donnie Vie, and to our audience. We hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Johnny, again, man, thank you.
They're responsible for us existing. You know what I mean? You stop going to shows, or you stop buying records, you stop buying their shirts, you stop buying this. We're out of business, you know. So, and don't be upset. It was, where'd that band go? I don't know what that band, my favorite band, they're gone. Like, you didn't support them. You know, they gotta live. So now they're all on disability somewhere.
Well said. Thank you so much, Sonny.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a good one.